Hello and welcome to Patrick's Models and Transports. So as the Lima BR39 test train trundles by, I'm updating you on the level crossing. So as you can see, I've fitted the road surface and various other odds and ends. So I'm just going to stop this locomotive right now so that we don't hear it noisy G-type motor. Okay, so what did I do last night? Because eventually I had time to work on this last night, because I had it's been a very busy period. Companies are everybody's more or less back from the holidays here in Italy, and the week just began with a bang. And righto, so last night, remember I had glued the cardboard ramps made out of an old Amazon box with vinyl glue, and last night I glued the road surface in place using Yoo-hoo glue this time, because I didn't want to use vinyl glue, because vinyl glue is wet and it would tend to make the paper cuddle up and get wrinkly. So I used Yoo-hoo glue. Previously I had glued on these pieces of balsa with vinyl glue. This is where I'm going to fit the barrier supports, the barriers. I'll also fit the warning light. I'm not going to be wiring this up or making any flashing lights. I will make the usual kind of lamp using the acrylic diamonds, like as on the rail car. There they are. And this idea was inspired by the Pico locomotives, the East German Pico locomotives. And I'll be colouring the acrylic diamonds red. But those are details. Let's talk about the substance. So, substance-wise, what did I do last night? Glued the road surface on with Yoo-hoo glue, and then you could see a kind of space here. It wasn't very nice. So I thought, what'll I do? What'll I fit there? And I remembered that I had a length of modelling wood which dates back to 1989, because I bought this wood in 1989. Because the school in Italy, Italian school, we have 5 years of primary school, which is scuola elementare, followed by 3 years of middle school, which is scuola media, and we begin school at 6. So between 6 and 11, let's say in your 11th year, you finish primary school, scuola elementare. Then in your 11th, you do from 11 to your 13th year or 14th year, depending when you were born, you're at the scuola media. And then when you're 14, you go to the high school, scuola superiore, and then you can choose all types of different schools. I went to the liceo classico, which is like the lycée in France, which is a humanities high school. Then there's the liceo scientifico, which is scientific high school, and then we have all the various vocational technical schools. We have the technical institute, where you can become a qualified technician, electrotechnical, mechanical, etc. We have the industrial school, institute. We have the land surveyors institute. My father taught there. You become a land surveyor. We have accountancy. We have all sorts of different professional institutes. And then there's all sorts of other types of schools, etc. But I'm not here to talk about school anyway. Why was I mentioning school? Because at the end of the middle school, so when I was at school, compulsory schooling was 8 years. 5 years of primary, 3 years of middle school. And then, I don't remember when, I think in the late 90s or early 2000s, you could look, if you're interested in Italian schools, you can look it up on internet. it became compulsory to also frequent the first 2 years of the high school. But when I was at school, your obligatory schooling was 8 years. 5 primary, 3 middle. And then if you really wanted, you could go to work, or you could go and maybe do a vocational training course or something of the kind and then go to work. It was not my case. Anyway, and even in my days, very few people. I'm 49, I was born in 1975. Let's say that most people continued. They didn't stop at only 8 years of school. It was really becoming too little, and you could really get very few decent qualified jobs with only 8 years of school. So, blah 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 blah. This is me at my best, to making a short story long, not a long story short. Okay. Stort is no language at all. Stort is storto, that's what I am today. After storto means kind of bent, crooked, meaning not in the negative sense, but in the sense that I've had such a busy period that my brain is scrambled eggs, absolutely. So I'm absolutely knackered and by excessive brain use. Okay. Righto, the brain is a muscle. It must rest every now and again, and model railways are a very good way of resting your brain. So, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the middle school, among the various subjects we had, there was technical education, and we had to doing practical work. And that year, 1989, in 1988, there was the 70th anniversary of the Great War, of the end of the Great War. And I had been to see a very interesting exhibition on the Great War here at the Exhibition Centre in Padova. And among the various exhibits, there were 2 small reconstructions of military bridges, footbridges. My father's an architect, and he said, that would be interesting. You could, for your end of school exam, you could prepare like a research on the Battle of Vittorio Veneto, so the final victorious battle that the Italians fought in 1918 against Austria-Hungary, and you could make 2 models of those bridges, with the plan and everything. So I bought all this wood. In my ex-bedroom, on top of the wardrobe, those 2 footbridges are in a box. Sooner or later, we'll bring them here, won't we? Excuse me, they're cutting the grass, and the council is cutting the grass here in the street. And so I had this wood, so I've had this wood since then, so I decided to make the kerb with it. Now, having done all of this, I'm now going to paint it kind of grey, like the road, blend it in, and I'll paint the kerbs as well. I might colour the top of the kerb in white, just to make it more visible so that people don't smash their axles on it. And now what I still have to do, I have to fill in the spaces between the rails. So I'm planning to use a high-tech piece of cardboard, okay, and I've made a pattern of the rails. Because I'm going to have to, so externally it can be flush against the rails, so that's easy. But between the rails, I have to leave space for the flanges. So I'm going to measure. This is a Mehano re-railer. This is a contact rail and a re-railer in one piece. Very interesting piece of track by Mehano. The problem is that I can't use it on these these curves because the Lima track has a tighter radius than Mehano track, so I would have needed a bigger board. Apart from the fact that when I assembled the board, the layout, I didn't have any Mehano. I only had bought Mehano track afterwards to get the points, but I used my own original ancient Lima track over there, you see. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the cardboard to this dimension, so I'll have to do some measurements, and this pattern will help me. The good thing of using this type of cardboard is that I can squash it, compress it, because there's the air spaces inside, and make it lower. So what I did last night, after gluing the road surface in place, I pressed the cardboard down well so that it's flush with the top of the rails. And if I put a toothpick here, you'll see that the top of the rails is flush with the ramps. So when we'll drive a vehicle across it, it won't have a big bump. What I want to do anyway is the filling in, the material that will fill in the spaces here. I want it to, I'm going to glue it to the sleepers, to the rails, so that if I need to do any track maintenance and I want to take the rails out, then this filling in part will just be all one piece with the rails, and I'll glue it in place with either glue and glaze or Yoo-hoo or something of the kind. Probably glue and glaze because it's easier to apply in many ways. Okay, so that's the update, and we're just going to send the train on its way. Cheerio, and see you next time.